Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and honored guests. Welcome to Camp Chamberlain. I am Colonel Diane Dunn, your MC for today's ceremony. Today, we honor Colonel Donald O. Lagace, Jr. on the occasion of his promotion to the rank of Brigadier General. Beginning in the 15th century, when a monarch delegated military powers to an individual to lead a field army, that individual was known as the lieutenant to the king. To distinguish them from lieutenants, they were known as lieutenant general. This was eventually shortened to general for those officers commanding groups of companies. The rank of brigadier general was created in the 17th century for the introduction of the tactical unit composed of combined arms known as the brigade. The United States Army continues this tradition of general officer ranks. These ranks are reserved for senior leaders who have been trusted with greater responsibilities. Maine Army National Guard is authorized 2 brigadier generals while serving over 2,000 soldiers, and we are pleased you are part of this event today. Officiating today's ceremony is Major General Douglas A. Farnham, the Adjutant General, Maine National Guard. Before we begin, we would like to recognize several distinguished guests in the audience. We are pleased to extend a special welcome to Colonel Lagace's wife, Missy, their daughter, Olivia, and Emily, who is joining us live via Facebook from London. His sister, Roxanne, Brother Peter, and his family. We are also pleased to have with us today Brigadier General Lind, Assistant Adjutant General Air, Brigadier General Drummond, Director of the Joint Staff, Brigadier General Young, Commander, Maine Air National Guard, State Command Chief Kelly Hofsas, Mr. Charles Mahalaris, representing Susan M. Collins, Senator, Mr. Omar Adams, representing Congresswoman Pingree, Major General Retired Earl Adams, Brigadier General Retired Robert Carmichael, Brigadier General Retired Jerry Bolduc. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of our official party and remain standing for the national anthem sung today by Staff Sergeant Crystal Ryder and the invocation delivered by Chaplain Andy Gibson.
Please be at ease. For those of you who are so inclined, would you join me in a word of prayer? Dear Lord, we are glad to be gathered here today to witness and to take part in the promotion of your son, Donald, to General Officer. It is a great honor to serve our state and our nation, to serve the people of this land, and ultimately to serve you in this profession of arms. Seeing our brother's work, character, and experience recognized this way fills us with pride and with honor. Today we ask that your blessing would be upon Donald and his wife Missy and their family as they embark on this mission of responsibility and leadership, that all of his decisions would be in accord with your will, that all of his ruminations would be inspired by your wisdom, and that all of his actions would be tempered by your love. Please bless this ceremony, those here attending, and all those whom we touch through our service to you. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Today's official party includes Major General Farnham, the Adjutant General, Brigadier General Corbett, the Assistant Adjutant General Army, Colonel Gibson, State Command Chaplain, Chief Warrant Officer Ford Cheney, Command Chief Warrant Officer, and Sergeant Major Smith, State Command Sergeant Major. It's my pleasure to introduce Major General Farnham. He will first recognize Colonel Lagace for his years of service as Maine's United States Property Fiscal Officer, followed by his promotion. During today's ceremony, we will observe indoor protocol. Those in uniform are asked to stand for the reading of the award. Others may remain seated. CW4 Chris Merrill will read Colonel Lagace's award citation.
Attention to order. The United States of America, to all who shall see these presents, greeting. This is to certify that the United States of America has on this day awarded the Defense Superior Service Medal to Colonel Donald O. Lagace, Jr., United States Property and Fiscal Officer for Maine. Colonel Lagace distinguished himself by exceptionally superior service as the USPFO for Maine from August 2008 to February 2019. During this period, Colonel Lagace's outstanding professional skill and ceaseless efforts resulted in major contributions to the national fiscal stewardship and Army and Air National Guard peer education. His communication skills, organizational ability, integrity, and moral clarity resulted in major contributions to the national security of the United States. His work ethic, exemplified through the USPFO Education Committee, defined the careers of many USPFO officers' contributions to the accountability of federal resources. Steady in faith, possessed by moral courage, and relentless in the pursuit of excellence, the distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Donald O. Lagace, Jr. reflect great credit upon himself, the National Guard Bureau, and the United States Army Office of the Secretary of Defense, presented March 1st, 2019.
What a great day for the Maine National Guard. Pretty good day for Dawn, too. Thank you all for being here today. But as you know, these types of ceremonies are about a lot more than just promoting Dawn. It's about passing on the traditions and customs of the military. And so I do appreciate you being part of that. And these traditions and values have been passed down over years and years, and it's important that we carry them on. It's great to see General Adams and Carmichael and General Bolduc out there and all the other former members because it is the heritage that you have passed down that makes this all possible. We really appreciate that. So thanks for being here today. You know, promotion, we talk about all the time, promotion isn't a reward, it's a challenge. And it's a challenge to be worthy. It's a challenge to be worthy of the responsibility of leading these great soldiers in the Maine National Guard. And Dawn knows that. And it's also, it also talks about potential. You know, we're not rewarding Don for everything he's done as USPFO because we just gave him awards, so you know what, he did a great job. But it is a promotion to talk about and recognize his potential to lead the troops, and I know we all have confidence in that. When one of the first promotions I did when General Drummond was promoted, I gave him, I give him a little advice. I feel like that's part of my responsibility, and I think I said something to the lines of, when you're a general and you ask a question, you're always going to get the answer, general, whatever you want, right? And that's not true, as Wayne has learned, and I know. In this case, it's kind of appropriate that coming from the USPFO, he doesn't need that lesson because he's been the guy that's been saying no for the last year. He understands that completely. I said today's a proud day for Don, proud day for the Maine National Guard. Thanks for letting me be part of it. It's a proud day for his family. I know you've been there with him all along. And again, like I said, proud day raising from, coming from the enlisted ranks all the way through the officer ranks, and now General Officer. I know that he will provide the necessary leadership for the Maine National Guard, and we're real proud of him, and I hope you all are too. So thank you all for being here, and let's get on with this show.
Attention to orders. Special Order GO 39-02. Department of the Army, Air Force, National Guard Bureau, dated 08 February 2019. The President of the United States has reposed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and professional excellence in Donald O. Lagace, Jr. In view of these qualities and his demonstrated potential for professional competence and dedicated service to the United States Army, he is therefore promoted to Brigadier General with a date of rank of 1 March 2019, signed by order of the Secretaries of the Army and the Air Force, Joseph L. Langell, General, U.S. Army, Chief, National Guard Bureau. You may be seated.
Practice. Olivia would beat Mom every time. All right, Liv, no pressure. Say General Farnham messed it up. Major General Farnham will now administer the oath of office to Brigadier General Lagace. At each promotion, a soldier reaffirms his or her commitment to serve the nation as a member of the armed forces. The Adjutant General will now administer the oath.
I state your full name.
I, Donald O. Lagace, Jr.,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
individual flags to those who warrant them by virtue of their office. The United States Army has incorporated the use of flags to signify the presence of a general officer. This flag, signifying the presence of a brigadier general, will be present at all official military functions attended by General Lagace and will be visibly displayed in his office. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to introduce Brigadier General Donald Lagace, Jr.
Thank you very much, General Farnham, for your trust, kind words, and for presiding over this ceremony today. It means a great deal to me and my entire family. Diane, thank you to you and all the staff for putting this together. We have a number of ceremonies for those of us in uniform though this weekend. This is the first of three, so this is just a warm-up session, and Colonel Dunn and the staff of the Maine National Guard have been tremendous, so we really appreciate that. Distinguished guests, Maine Army National Guard military members, both Army and Air, my co-workers from the United States Property and Fiscal Office, who have been family to me over the last 10 years. I've enjoyed working with you tremendously. In the USPFO community, I've got friends from Vermont. Colonel Jeff Abelin. Jeff, please raise your hand. I'm not going to embarrass you. Came from Vermont. Angelo Capilupo from New Jersey. Came all the way up here from New Jersey, and he brought a friend with him, Colonel Bill Peace. They both work in the USPFO. Angelo joined the USPFO community when I did back in 2009, and he's been a great friend, as Jeff and Bill as well. We appreciate you guys taking the time to come here. It means a lot. Other distinguished guests, retirees, families, friends, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for being here this afternoon to make this special occasion even more special by your presence. Colonel Dunn already mentioned that daughter Emily is live from London, as she said. And I want to say a big hello to Emily. Hopefully she's able to see this. We love you. We're proud of you. And thank you for being here. We'd like everyone to also welcome my brother and business partner, Peter, and his family. And sitting to Peter's left is another business partner, Dylan Armstrong, and his fiancée, Angela Weston, and Dylan's three young men, Rory, Amos, and who's the other guy? Evan. Thank you guys for being here today. We really appreciate that. It's worth noting that we have many people who are here from active duty in the past, and I'm going to embarrass someone just for a little right now, but we have a second generation. Angela is a second generation, I think, second generation West Point graduate. Her father was before her, and her oldest daughter Sierra is there right now at West Point Academy, and I'll have to keep my comments clean since we have active duty representation here in the audience. Also want to acknowledge my sister, a special person, Roxanne Lagace here, who's the matriarch of the family, if you would, and keep an eye on everyone. Everyone, would you please join me in a round of applause for Roxanne? Take a moment, too, to acknowledge Chaplain Gibson and the entire Chaplain Corps of the Maine National Guard. What they do in tending to our spiritual needs here and taking care of us in so many ways. Chaplain, I thank you for your invitation and everything you and all of your folks in the chaplain world here in the National Guard do. It's so extremely important. God is a big part of my life and all of our lives, and I appreciate everything that you do. And I would like to take a moment, because there's always silence after the national anthem, to acknowledge Staff Sergeant Crystal Ryder. You can sneak her out, she's working right now, for her beautiful rendition of the national anthem. quick story. There was a man in a hot air balloon. He realized he was lost. He reduced altitude and spotted another man below. He descended a bit more, and he shouted, "Excuse me, can you help me? I promised a friend I would meet him an hour ago, but I don't know where I am." The man replied, "You're in a hot air balloon, hovering approximately 30 feet above the ground. You are between 40 and 41 degrees north latitude and between 59 and 60 degrees west longitude." "You must be a warrant officer," said the balloonist. "Why, I am," replied the warrant officer. "How did you know?" "Well," he answered the balloonist, "everything you've told me is technically correct. But I have no idea what to make of your information. And the fact is that I'm still lost. Frankly, you haven't been much help so far." The warrant officer responded, "You must be an officer." "I am," replied the officer. "But how did you know?" "Well," said the warrant officer, "you don't know where you are or where you are going. You have risen to where you are due to a large quantity of hot air. You made a promise which you have no idea how to keep, and you expect people beneath you to solve your problems. The fact is, you're in exactly the same position where you were before we met, but now somehow it's my fault." I share that story for non-military members. There are essentially three types of soldiers in the Army. There's officers from second lieutenant all the way to general, 4 stars, and then on occasion 5 stars. There's the enlisted soldiers, who are the backbone of the Army, who do all the hard work and really should receive all the credit for everything that is done, because without them we would go nowhere. And then there are the warrant officers. I'll always have a special place in my heart for warrant officers, as they, along with the enlisted, and enlisted soldiers and the officers, played a significant role in developing me in my 37 years as an officer. I spent the first 10 years of my career surrounded by 6 to 7 warrant officers in the mighty 152 Maintenance Company in the first 10 years of my career. And I'm pretty sure we have 2 of them here today. Clyde Williams, if you give a wave, and then way in the back of the room is the Jock Colford, and his bride Joan Colford is here with him. Stories I could tell about what I learned as a young officer and a cadet and as an enlisted person for a short while, but we are on Facebook Live, so I need to keep it clean. But this cohort of warrant officers, and all warrant officers are known as the adaptive technical experts, combat leaders, trainers, and mentors to many. My father was a warrant officer, and we served a few years together in the maintenance company. Dad's version of the balloonist with full of hot air story was a lot shorter and much more to the point. My brother and I used to always perk up when he would say, "Sport, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You need to speak a lot less than you hear, so keep it short." And before this started, I'm going to try to keep my remarks short. Missy asked me to keep them short as well, so I will try, but I can't guarantee anything. So, but I am truly blessed to be here after 37 years in the Maine Army National Guard, culminating with this opportunity today. I often tell people when I first raised my right hand and took my first oath in 1982, I never thought I'd get to the end of my 6-year obligation, let alone 37 years. And I really truly played it one drill at a time, 1 year at a time, and the next professional military education at a time. And truly the reason for my success, in addition to the members of the military, truly the reason for my success is a family, and today is all about family. And I'm going to talk a little bit about family. But first, I want to talk a little bit about where we are here today. I'm honored to be here and promoted. I think I'm the first general officer promoted in this building, known as Camp Chamberlain, named after Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, whom we all know as a Civil War hero in his epic battle of Little Round Top and his charge down Little Round Top. He went on to serve 4 terms as a governor of the state of Maine. He was also president of Bowdoin College. Argue our most significant strength is the bedrock of the National Guard, which began essentially in 1636 when early militias formed to protect our nation's defense. And to that end, and the difference between us and the active duty is we come from our communities, we work in the communities, we raise our family in the communities, and we have successive family members in the National Guard. The active duty is a phenomenal organization, but they don't have the benefit of doing that because they're always moving around. So we do have that exception. But an occasion like this is time for reflection, and as I look back on my 37 years, I recognize that those of us who wear the uniform could not have done so without our family. Like many, the Guard for me has been rich with opportunities, including today, and personal sacrifices, and those personal sacrifices are shared with family and friends and employers. I would not be here today without the support of my family, Missy, my beautiful bride of almost 24 years, our two amazing daughters, Emily and Olivia. Emily is pursuing her dreams, and Olivia is getting ready to pursue her dreams to go to college. And I keep trying to talk her into joining the Guard, and we're getting close, guys. As I mentioned, Mom, Dad, Roxanne, Brother Peter, who is my business partner, and the Guard, the airmen and soldiers who work and live in our communities. We raise our families. We work with local businesses that are local business members here today. And throughout my career, I've worked with multi-generations of Guardsmen from within our communities, many who are here today, and I'm going to name a few. Colonel Norm Mishu. Where are you, Norm? He hates it when I do this. Norm is responsible for the construction of this beautiful building. He's got DNA, blood, sweat, and tears all over this place. And Norm is here with his father. I served with his father. Where's Mr. Mishu sitting right next to Norm? Jerry Mishu was in the 152 Maintenance Company. Master Sergeant Gary St. Michael, sitting right next to his son, Brandon St. Michael. Brandon's father has served, obviously Gary's in uniform. Brandon serves, he works with us in the USPFO, and he's a military member as well. And Master Sergeant St. Michael's father, Pete St. Michael, was a retired war officer in the Maine National Guard for many years. For many years I served with Mike McCrae. We deployed together to Desert Storm. Many of you may remember Mike in 1990-91. Mike and his wife Tanya have two children, Elizabeth, who was born during Desert Storm, and Mike had to go home abruptly to get to her birth. And then Sergeant First Class Nathaniel McCrae is an incredibly strong Maine National Guard leader with Bravo Company, 3rd of the 172nd Mountain Infantry Company. He's a great young man. Sergeant First Class McCrae's wife, Megan, is a second lieutenant with a 488 MP Company. She's the daughter of one of my best friends, Gary Pouliot, sitting here. She couldn't be here today because she is gone to Bola Company at Fort Leonard right now. And I mentioned Gary, her father, is one of my best friends. He was also a member of the Maniacs a while ago, a number of years ago, the 265th, Gary? 243rd. I was one of the two. So that's only the beginning of many relationships and what the Guard means to me. In 37 years, the Guard means many, many things. And one of the interesting things is the Guard means to me is asking my father and my brother Peter if it was okay if I would take a year off to go be the Deputy Commissioner in 2006 for a year. That year turned into 3, and then it turned into 10 years as a USPFO. So 13 years later, Monday morning, I'm going back to work and working with Peter and our other business partner, Dylan, and hopefully they'll have me back. But that was a tremendous sacrifice and 13 years. And that story just goes on and on and on. I believe the Adjutant General story is the same thing. Right after 9/11, Kate left the family business, came on active duty, and has been working on active duty ever since. So the story goes on and on. The Guard to me is also some interesting and fun times, and we don't have a young audience here except for Colton, so you want to give this consideration. The Guard to me is skiing the Stubai Glacier near Innsbruck, Austria with Tim Bowman during 1AT. That was cool. Visiting the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre Museum in France. Taking a riverboat ride down the Rhine River in Germany with Dad and many other Guard members. Probably Mr. Williams took that trip, and maybe Mr. Colford as well. Renting a camp in Rangeley from a good friend of mine year after year when the girls were little. And looking out the window, and I was inside doing war college papers while the girls were out in the front yard with Missy in the water. And the girls kept screaming, "Dad, come outside!" And I was up there writing war college, saying to my papers, thinking, why am I doing this? And the Guard is also when you're ready to quit war college because it's taking so much time away from you. And it's not just war college, it's every professional military education seemingly along the way for officers, enlisted, and warrants. It's nonstop. So it's a sacrifice when it takes all that time. But the Guard is all about having your 11-year-old daughter, Emily, come into your office when I was ready to give it up. I was really sick and tired of the papers and writing papers on the weekend. And she came in and said, Dad, what are you stressing about? Writing a paper is like making a sandwich. It's like BLT. You get bread up here, you get bread down there, you get some lettuce, tomato, and meat in the middle, and it's good to go. and you know, I thought about it, and she walked out the room and went on her way, and that gave me just what I needed to get through, and I thank Emily for that. The Guard is also having the family visit you in Gettysburg, making that trip. The Guard is having the family in attendance when receiving the War College diploma, so it made it all worthwhile. The Guard is also missing birthdays, soccer games, anniversaries, concerts, recitals. Those of us in uniform, we've all experienced. That's what the Guard is. It's a sacrifice. The Guard is scheduling annual hunting and fishing trips around Guard events with my best friends. All of them are here today: Fred, Don, Mike, Gary, and Larry, and Rick. And having many discussions with them about the Guard. The Guard is dirt bike riding with Colonel Mishu, Colonel Young, Colonel Barbeau, Major LaChapelle, Gary St. Michael, my brother Pete, Keith Cadner, who's sitting over there, and many others over the years. And just really talking about the Guard. So that's all part of the Guard family. And one more, the Guard is a motorcycle trip to Stowe, Vermont with John McAvoy to visit the Alchemist Brewery to pick up some heavy topper. The Guard has numerous trips to Arlington with my USPFO friends, Joint Base Andrews, Coronado Naval Air Station, many other locations throughout the United States in the last 10 years, and working with guys like Jeff, Angelo, and Bill, and many, many people like that. The Guard is to be able to work with and be mentored by Major General Legace as his Deputy Commissioner for 3 years. The Guard is also tomorrow and Sunday in National Guard communities and facilities across the state of Maine and in North Berwick and in Berwick. The Guard is also lowering the flags, the state of Maine flag and the U.S. flag, for all the airmen, Technical Sergeant Thomas Arthur Morrison Small of North Berwick, who recently died. And the many of others who have passed in the last number of years. A couple more people I'd like to acknowledge, I think, are on Facebook Live. My cousin Frank Dumas and his wife Karen couldn't be here because they're in Florida. We feel bad for people who are in Florida in this weather. I've often claimed that they could claim me as a dependent because during my college years, I would go there two, three nights a week. My cousin Frank and I would eat the phenomenal food that Karen would make for us. And they were just a few years older than Missy and I. And so they were raising their family. They got to be tremendous friends and great mentors to Missy and us in how we raised our children. They can't be here today. Sorry, Kobe, could you come on out with that flag? In 1978, my cousin Frank was in the JCs. He was very active, and oh, by the way, he's a Navy guy, too. So for a Navy guy, he's a pretty good guy. And in the JCs, they were doing a fundraiser, and they were selling these flags. And my dad got one of those flags, and my dad, as I said, was a member of the mighty 152 Maintenance Company. So Dad got that flag, and that flag began a journey around the world. Dad took that flag with the maintenance company on every annual training period they went for a number of years. And when I became the company commander of the maintenance company, that hung on my wall in my office, and then I would take that flag many places as well. And then after 9/11, this flag was flown literally all over the world, and I'd like to share a couple of those stories. Because if you go up to it and see it, it's kind of dusty and dirty. But one of the first trips it went with was Echo Company, the air traffic, or 120th Air Traffic Control Team to Afghanistan during Operation Enduring Freedom. I have a picture of very young Captain Jeff Miller, who was a pretty handsome fellow in his day. Is he here? Yeah. He's got the same hair color as me, so he's tracking right now. And he was with First Sergeant Stephen Craig. They flew this flag in Kandahar Airport on September 11, 2003, 2 years after 9/11. And when they came back, and Jeff sent me a quote, he essentially said, That day, on September 11th, after the sun went down, my father was in the 152 Maintenance Company. They ran 152 American flags up the flagpole in honor of 9/11, and then he flew that flag as well. The Jeff went on to say it was a great time, and we were honored to fly that flag with your fathers. The next trip was with 133rd Engineer Battalion, deployed to Mosul, Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom, from February 2004 to 2005. I got a photo of Chris LG, who was the S-6 battle captain with a big old grin on his face that we all expect and remember from Chris LG. And then 27 years later, after Dad introduced this flag to the 152 Maintenance Company, the flag came full circle and deployed with the 152 to Baghdad in January 2005. That's what the Guard is to me. The Guard's all about family. Those of us who wear the uniform, employers and family members alike, we're all family. That was doing so good. Mom, who couldn't be here today, Mom is in a memory care facility. My brother Peter and his family, my sister Roxanne, my wife Missy, and our wonderful daughters Emily and Olivia. Aunt Lorraine and Arthur, thank you for being here to represent the Lagace family. Thank you for your love, support, and sacrifice in making yet another opportunity possible for me in the Maine Army National Guard. I thank you all for your attendance, friendship, and mentoring over the years, and thank you very much for coming.
Many of you know who Moses is from what Christians would refer to as the Old Testament and what our Jewish brothers and sisters would refer to as the Holy Testament. We know Moses is the one who brought us the law and the Word of God, but what many of you may not realize or may not have thought of it in these terms, Moses was also God's general officer as he led the people through the wilderness. He led them in battle and actually planned battle. And so I thought it might be very apropos to have a blessing that was actually given to us by Moses so many, many years ago, where he said, "May God bless you and keep you. May God shine his face upon you and be gracious unto you. May God lift his countenance upon you and grant you peace." Amen.
March along, sing a song, we're the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Please come forward to congratulate General and Mrs. Lagace, and then join us for a reception in the cafeteria. Thank you.